My name is Porter Lee Lawson, Jr. I'm a lieutenant and administrator of the cadet program with the DC Fire and EMS department. I'm also the chaplain of the department. I'm a graduate of Calvin Coolidge High School, and I have been employed with the DC government for 26 years. I worked for the water department for 8 years, and just short of 18 years, I have proudly served with the DC Fire Department. As I address this council this morning, I must say that at the very least, I am disturbed and frustrated by the destructive media coverage of late that has presented a negative perspective of the department. I won't presume to imply that some criticism is not warranted. However, when our entire focus begins to center around the very small percentage of firefighters that have been arrested or who have neglected to adequately perform their duties and responsibilities, it becomes an unjust indictment on the thousands of exceptional men and women who are committed to serve and protect this nation's capital. The reality is that there's more than 2,000 men and women, including our fire chief. Fire chief has served for over 30 years, and the men and women, we run over 160,000 calls each year. We report the duty every day and lay it on the line, realizing that this could be our last day, that we could lose our lives protecting this city. We cannot, we must not allow these few isolated incidents to define this department. It appears that there are some who have made it their primary agenda to highlight every current negative incident in the media and tie them together with problems that have been long-standing and have existed within the department at least as long as I've begun my employment in 1996, such as equipment and ambulance response times and issues with the ambulance. Of course, there's always room for improvement in any agency. What those improvements should be will vary based on who you ask. According to media reports, one problem that led to the unfortunate death of Mr. Mills is a lack of training. In my opinion, nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, it is the training that I received and continue to receive as a member of this department that allows me to be confident that I can safely carry out my assignments when called to duty. Every member of this department has been trained and taught what to do and how to respond to calls, whether we're in the firehouse, on the streets, in the store, or wherever we are. We've been trained to do our duty effectively. Those procedures are outlined in our department manuals, specifically in our standard operational guidelines, which has been in existence for quite a long time. The reported opinion of some is that the death of Mr. Mills should result in the dismissal of the fire chief. This is the most recent of many attempts to represent our fire chief, our leader, in less than a favorable light. We do this without thought to how it will ultimately affect the state of our future as a department by tearing down a position because we want to tear down a person. But slowly we're destroying the department within itself. Obviously, the fire chief has to be responsible and must make certain that we have the necessary tools to carry out our jobs. But once we have received the tools, it is then our responsibility to do our job, to utilize the tools that we have been given. He can't make choices for us as employees to do our job, nor can he make the choices for us to make choices to break the law. He can just make sure that he enforces the consequences of the mistakes or the bad choices that we make as employees. Many people have asked me about the Mills incident, wondering how something like this could happen. My answer simply is this: I don't know how it happened, but what I do know for sure is that I would never believe that any one of the great men and women that represent the DC Fire and EMS department would deliberately sit and do nothing. There had to be some type of communication breakdown, something that was going on that maybe I don't know or the public doesn't know. But finally, I would like to say that as the administrator of the cadet program, it has been my privilege to work with more than 100 young residents of Washington, D.C., and watch more than 90% of them become firefighters. I thank the mayor, the fire chief, and the city council for making this program possible. The cadet program has empowered all of these young people with an opportunity to enjoy a successful career as productive, taxpaying citizens within this city. That is why it would be unjust to focus on the few who squander the opportunity rather than to celebrate the success stories of many who seize the opportunity. I'm talking about young people that have come through this program with no license, don't know how to drive, no check account, don't even know how to start life. They've been given an opportunity by this great organization, this great city, to establish conduct, to build character, and go on to be fire and EMS providers. Please let us take our focus off of some bad mistakes or individuals who have squandered opportunities. Let's start pointing out Cadet Class 8 that took place 8 or 9 years ago when some cadets made some mistakes and it was a bad class. But let's look at Cadet Class 4, who over 90% of those individuals 22 years later have become deputy fire chiefs, battalion chiefs, captains, lieutenants, sergeants, and technicians. Let's look at Cadet Class 2 and 3. Those are the models, the examples that we're striving to make sure that 20 years from now, these ongoing classes turn out to be those great citizens. And for any of us that say we love the city, want to work for the city, want to represent the citizens, we have to make sure that we continue to invest in our youth, because they are the ones that's going to make sure that this great city go on to higher heights. And if we're going to become a state, we need to make sure that we show the world that right here in the nation's capital, that we have young folks that can go ahead and provide services, and we don't have to run somewhere else to get people because we have viable candidates right here. In closing, we cannot allow any individual to use fear tactics to foster anxiety in the hearts of D.C. residents by this growing trend of tearing down the confidence in the city's first responders. The DC Fire and EMS department is not incompetent. We are very well trained. We are committed and dedicated to serving and protecting the citizens of Washington, D.C. The cadet program is a positive program that is passionate about investing in our next generation by building the integrity in the youth of this city and training them to become professional firefighters. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson.